And we're back. We're coming to the end of chapter 5 and the discussion of theater during the Renaissance. A couple of things that I didn't go over in the first lecture, um, deals with Commedia dell'arte. Remember, Commedia characters were divided into three basic fundamental categories: lovers, masters, and servants. Remember in Commedia that it is all unscripted, and the most important element of a Commedia performance is the work of the actor, because the actor drives the story. We also talked about the neoclassical ideal and the six principles of the neoclassical ideal. Some of them stand out to me even when I think about the neoclassical ideal, the fact that the plays could either be comedy or tragedy, never mixed, that there was something called decorum within these plays where characters had to behave in a way that was fitting to their social status. Plays had to be written in 5 acts. They had to observe the unities of time, place, and action. One of the most important elements of the neoclassical ideal for me is the requirement that the play had to uphold poetic justice. The good guy always has to win. So when you think of the elements of the neoclassical ideal, consider these, and decide on your favorite as well. Um, Now, we enter after the neoclassical ideal, we go into a period known as Romanticism. This is where the whole discussion of regular and irregular drama comes about. Remember, regular drama at the beginning of the 18th century was known as was the type of play that followed the neoclassical ideal. That was regular drama. Irregular drama did not follow the neoclassical ideal. We had examples like ballad opera, pantomime, but when you consider it, and on the, I guess that was test number 2, I gave you some options, one of which was the plays by William Shakespeare, Commedia dell'arte. Yes, none of that is regular drama. So consider that. Regular drama adhered to the neoclassical ideal, irregular drama did not. We are now in the period known as Romanticism, the Romantic period. The Romantics believed that God created the universe out of himself so that he could observe his power. And it was all about celebrating and demonstrating that power within art. Uh, the what we I have called, and I think a previous textbook referred to this, melodrama. That's this style. Melodrama was the pop culture manifestation of Romanticism. During this period, more people were moving into the city, and melodrama houses or theaters that performed melodramas popped up all over London. Um, and because there were people working, people had a little bit of money to spend on entertainment, and melodrama became this big popular sensation. That's why they called it the pop culture manifestation of Romanticism. When we talk about melodrama, we have to remember one melodrama in particular, Alexander Dumas' The Count of Monte Cristo. Also, we have to remember one actor in particular, the Irish actor James O'Neill, who bought the rights to the play and made his career performing the title role. Did it for upwards of 30 years, maybe longer. Became extremely famous for that role. Now, during the 19th century, um, a couple of discoveries, advancements, theories came about that changed a lot, but had a great impact on theater. The first, of course, is Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. The second is Sigmund Freud's theory of personality. Um, as far as impacting theater, remember that we are moving now into the period of realism. Um, this is the period that rejects romanticism or follows romanticism. And the realists believed that character was determined by heredity and environment. Heredity and environment. When we talk about realism, we are talking about the work of Henrik Ibsen, specifically the play that we discussed and watched, A Doll's House. Remember the characters from A Doll's House. The majority of you, I think, wrote about Nora, but remember, Nora was married to Torvald, and Nora's friend was Christine, and Nora took the loan out from Krogstad, and their family friend was Dr. Rank. So remember those characters. But remember most specifically that Henrik Ibsen wrote A Doll's House, and Henrik Ibsen was known as the founder of modern drama. One thing that came out during this period in terms of theater and sets and what was on the stage was the introduction of what is known as a box set. A box set is a set with 3 walls. The 4th wall is the wall that separates the stage from the audience. With a box set, you can have functional doors and windows, and it attaches to a proscenium. Most sets that you see these days, or historically, the most common set is a box set because you're looking into a room or a specific place. But this is a type of set that came about during this period in the 19th century. After realism comes naturalism. Naturalism was a more extreme form of realism. Not as popular because naturalism exposed too much of real people, too much of the truth, holding a mirror up to society to show us ourselves. Now, these plays, these naturalistic plays, gritty plays, weren't enjoyed, appreciated by everyone. For that reason, some of them were censored. Censorship brought about the independent theater movement. It was censorship that brought about the independent theater movement. The first independent theater, remember, Teatra Libre. The director of that theater was André Antoine. It was in Paris. And when we talk about the independent theater movement, we have to remember one playwright in particular, George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw, remember, George Bernard Shaw wrote a play called, many plays, but a play called Pygmalion. Pygmalion. From Pygmalion, we get the translation or the auteur approach that brings us My Fair Lady, the musical My Fair Lady. And from My Fair Lady, we get a translation or another adaptation, which was Pretty Woman. That formula can be seen throughout history, but that's an example of one. Okay, I'll be back.